What's up, y'all? It's Righteous Revolution Podcast. I'm Adam,
I'm Trent.
and today we've got a guest speaker with us, Tony. Any words of wisdom right off the bat, Tony? We're throwing you in the hot seat.
Let's just see where this takes us. Let's just keep going.
See what it takes us. That's what
Just
I'm talking
joking,
about.
but man, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been too long since we've done a
Yeah,
podcast.
man, we've had a few weeks. It's just kind of been wild. Summer just started, and end of school season, visiting families and stuff like that. So we decided to take a break for just a couple weeks so that we could fit that stuff in. But hey, we're back.
We're back.
Righteous Revolution, baby.
Man, what's new with you? What'd you end up doing over the last couple weeks?
Man, I'm free in the mornings from taking kids to school. So awesome. It really, we had school trips, and the school trips, they got to be all big and bougie and go to Animal Kingdom and Busch Garden. So, I mean, the kids have a lot of fun, but just wrapping up everything for the school year. But we made it.
You made it.
We
Heck
made
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Man, I had some time off, but man, I was all over the road. I went up to Georgia.
Yeah, you did.
and boated for a weekend. Had some buddies out there. It was super cool. And then I shot down, got to see some family down in South Florida, and got to meet one of my nephews for the first time, which was awesome. So
That was very cool.
soaked up some family time. So it was time well spent.
Was it
Tony-
relaxing?
Yeah, I'm
That's the
saying
key.
Tony's just been through it. He's had another baby.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So other than the baby, that's been about it. Unfortunately, still got some more school, and my son's got summer school. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, enjoy it while it's here, though, right?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, we appreciate you guys throwing in some comment suggestions on some topics that you guys wanted to hear. And one of the topics that got tossed out that you guys wanted to hear us discuss was on leadership. And, obviously Trent and Tony's have a long-standing friendship and have gone to multiple different churches, together, and just had a lot of just different life experience together. So we thought Tony would be a great person to have on. But Trent, I'll kick it to you to kind of kick us off from a leadership standpoint, being a discipleship pastor. What's your kind of experience been being a leader in the church?
It's been one of the most rewarding jobs that I've ever had. When I say job, I'm not paid staff, but it's something that is a job to me that I have to fulfill, right? And then that's just a personal walk with the Lord, wanting to be a leader and wanting to be an effective leader. One of the things that I really strive for is if I'm going to do something, it needs to be effective, right? And that starts with the heart. And so I just try to have those checks every day. You and I talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Just checking yourself and making sure that the things that you're doing are, an example of Christ in leadership, and it not being an opinion of myself. Not letting it gratify anything of the flesh, but knowing that I have an opportunity to lead people and to have a voice in people's life, which has weight.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the seniors that just graduated that is now going into ministry, and it's our pastor's son. Love the dude, man. I really do.
Love that guy. Yeah.
And he's such a just great kid. But he's just such a solid dude with his faith. And I was kind of talking to him about the way my son looks at him. So he just graduated. My son is going to be a sophomore, and he really looks at his walk and the way that he's able to be one of those kids that everybody likes to be around, and he's awesome and stuff like that, but also be an example of Jesus.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I was like, that carries weight, man. Like you don't really think about it, but people look to you in the way that you respond, and sometimes you're like, don't look too hard.
Yeah. You can look, but don't look too hard.
Yeah, not too hard. You know what I'm saying? And but it really is, man. I think, you asked what about leadership. I think that you live your life with following Jesus, and as you seek Him and live your life, it allows you to lead other people, and other people see it. There are like directive type of leaderships that you're really out front and kind of pushing towards a goal or something like that. But I think that, a lot of times that's in moments. I think, being a leader, it just requires you following Jesus the way that we
Yeah.
know how to, and live your life in a way that He's called you to.
Yeah.
And it just allows people to see what that's about, and it essentially becomes effective leadership.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Which, Tony, I'll kick it to you. I've got some thoughts too, but just in terms of your experience and your kind of thoughts around the topic.
Yeah, and it's actually a really good point to point out Caleb. Like, something I noticed about Caleb is he's just a natural leader. Like, he does. I told Ethan, like, there's no cool kids and youth because of Caleb. Caleb pulls everybody in. Caleb builds everybody up, and that's what a good leader does. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Good leaders, it's not about yourself; it's about others.
Yeah.
And I think, like I was saying earlier, a leader's not a status; it's an action, and you can tell through the things that like people like Caleb do and Ethan and you guys. It's an action. It's your example that you use to lead people by.
Yeah.
And it's the love of Christ that's in you, that's overflowing out of you.
Yeah.
Is what makes a good leader.
That's awesome. And like kind of between those points, because obviously you're keen on some specific people that you can visibly see, and you're talking around it too, just kind of being the action. It's like the fruit. Like, what are the fruit that those individuals are leaving behind that other people are seeing, right? And I like that point, because some of the people that you're talking about obviously have leadership titles, but I think the other cool thing about it is like you don't have to have a leadership title to be a leader.
Right.
You can lead by action, lead by your fruit. You look like you want to say.
Well, yeah,
something.
like just to build on that point that you were talking about, like you don't have to have a title, but I think it's even more important when you don't have that title to be that leader. I tell my son that all the time, like, be that guy, be the leader.
Cool.
If there's nobody, standing out, you be him.
Yeah.
And do it humbly, and
Yeah. Well, and I think about it too. Like Jesus says, be set apart. And so I mean, sometimes it's uncomfortable. But I look a lot of times at a crowd of people, and don't be the crowd, be the person that stands out, so that other people will follow. Sometimes I feel like people are looking for somebody to set that example so that they can follow in those shoes, in the footsteps, or sometimes, I mean, it's uncomfortable, right? Like, it's not, hey, you can follow Jesus and it's going to be easy breezy just to step out and be different. But
Yeah.
I think sometimes taking that leap of faith and taking that step to be set apart encourages other people, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the big piece about leadership is, being that example, give other people, a role model to an application to follow and look at, and be that other person that's also kind of set apart and just following those footsteps. But
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially when you get around groups of like-minded Christians and stuff that you've had, the experiences that they've had, and they've seen what you've been through and how you walk through those things. So just your life in general, your testimony is a great leadership quality. Is just being genuine and caring for others.
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
All right, question for you, Trent. Obviously being a leader of a household, I guess for both of you, Tony too. You said, what do you say? Oh, goodness.
Now, that's where I struggle the most. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, I think too, right? Obviously, you can be a leader in the church. You can be a leader in
Well, it
anything
starts
you
at
do.
home.
But
Yeah,
but
it
at
starts at
home,
home.
in terms of like leading your family and leading them well, like what were some kind of like attributes you look at? You're obviously talking about, passing guidance and advice down to your son. So like, what are kind of some of the things you guys look at to like, equip your family?
Well, and this isn't, too spiritual of an answer, but it starts, staying in the Word of God. It starts staying in the Word, staying in your prayer time, like drawing closer to Jesus. And that's really where it starts, laying those solid foundations. Me and myself, I'm not the effective leader for my family without Christ. I've proven that. But when I submit myself to Jesus and what he has for me, and I started off that way, it lays a foundation that allows me to be the leader of my home. And what I want to pass on to my kids and how I lead my kids is to, showing them what having a heart for the Lord looks like. And also showing them what mistakes look like. And because as much as I would love to nail it, there's multiple times that I have to go back and be like, yeah, bro, I maybe should have, I meant what I said.
Yeah.
Like, but I definitely should have maybe went about that a different way.
Right.
And I'm sorry. Or, sometimes you just look, man, for anybody that has kids, dude, sometimes you just lose your junk. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for all moms out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I know Tiff's going to be looking, she's going to be like, word. You know what I mean? But it does, man. Like, sometimes your kids, the ones you love the most, can absolutely drive you insane. And, I think those moments, you just kind of have to go back. But just leading them, they're one of the most special things that I've heard this past week. I told my kids, their grandparents, live about an hour and a half away, and grandparents, they're super awesome. It's my wife's parents. They're really good about coming to seeing the kids and just really being there. And they were like, all right, we want to come see the kids. Well, the week was kind of busy, and I said, no, we just can't. We got appointments. We got this, and this. Let's try next week. And I told them, I was like, hey, do you want me to take you over there Saturday? And, y'all can just stay a few days, and I'll come get you sometime next week, And all three of them, separate, not together. Their first question was, are we going to have to miss church?
That's awesome.
And I was like, well, yeah, you would not. They're like, nah, we'll go next week. And I was
cool.
like, that's what's up.
Yeah.
And I think that one, it becomes you guys, right? Like the people in the church that are feeding into them. People like Jonathan, people like Caleb, people like Ethan, they're really pouring into them. Pastor Taylor and the kids. But it's taking them there, and just saying,
awesome.
Lord, I know this is what you want me to do, and even though I fail, God, show them who you are, and show them how, through me, how important you are to me.
Yeah.
And just explain situations, man. I explain miracles to them, man, like things that happen in our lives. Like, hey, look, that was Jesus. That right there, that was God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't, nobody else could have done that.
Yeah.
Whether it be situationally, financially, I mean, just,
Yeah.
there's multiple things that I could tell you.
And I kind of want to touch on that point too, like not to switch topics, and this could be a topic for another day, but
Oops, sorry.
well, you look at that too, and a lot of times I see God obviously works through us to impact other people, and like He doesn't need us, but He wants us to be aligned to Him, and so we can be aligned with His work and everything from that nature. But I think a lot of times I see a miracle happen, or God works through somebody and something happens, and people look to that person, you did this, and it's like no.
Yeah.
God did that, and He allowed me to be a part of it.
That's right.
And I think from a leadership standpoint, kind of tying that back in, letting God lead us to be leaders to other people. So I'd be kind of curious, Tony, from that perspective for you, what does that look like in your relationship with God when you're looking at a leadership role? Like, are you praying to Him daily? Are you talking to, like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's a lot of prayer. It's a lot of reflection as well. Because you got to be mindful when you're speaking to people, and you got to. It says, endure their faults. Like, everybody's at a different journey, at stage of their journey. You know what I mean? And like we were just discussing, I drink a Monster Energy. You know what I mean? And some Christians will say that you shouldn't do that, and I can be like, no, it's fine. I can give them a hard time back, or I can be loving and understand that that's something that pricks their heart. So out of love for them, I wouldn't drink that Monster in front of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's learning how different people act, and bringing people up and trying to keep those stumbling blocks from being placed in front of them. So it's a lot of prayers, a lot of self-reflection. Like, should have I said that to that person? Apologize when needed. And when you're in a leadership role and a leader comes and says, hey man, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. Like that's big, man. That shows that, it's okay to mess up, but you need to pick yourself back up, and you need to keep going forward. And seeing somebody that you admire do that, that just encourages you. You don't feel like you're scum and like you're always messing up. You know what I mean? It's a good thing. So
so your heart is leading people.
sure, yeah,
You and I've had discussions in the past about discipleship and the role that I play as a discipleship pastor. You know, you've expressed, you know, I guess a wanting just to like, hey, what you do? What is it about? You know, stuff
Right.
like that. What is in the leadership aspect? What is your heart for discipleship? Like, what does that look like?
I want to build people up. You know what I mean? I've been to some good churches. You know what I mean? Been around some good people, but I didn't have those people that like is that Fresh Life. Like I've never had so many people like root for you and
Yeah.
pull you up. Like I want to be that person that somebody can call me and I'll pray for them on the spot.
Yeah.
I'll encourage them. I'll give them honest opinions. You know what I mean? I want to be that guy that's always looking to make somebody else better. You know what I mean? And so it's like you see a lot of these new guys that are on fire for Christ right now. And I remember when I was on fire, like that new fire, because they're brand new. And it's like, man, like I don't want that to fan out. You know, I want to be the person that keeps that fan going. They can call me or talk to me, and I can keep that going. Like I can fight for them.
Yeah.
So I was reading a book a couple years ago called Rest in War. And it said the best fighters are people that knew they were fought for. And that's how I want to be. I know that Jesus fought for me. I know that my family fought for me and prayed for me. I want to be that person for other people.
Yeah. That's good, man. I like that. What was the name of that book?
Rest in War.
Rest in War.
Yeah.
I'd check that out. I'd check. Well,
Rest in War.
I I admire you know, the way that you handle things. A lot of times, I remember a situation at one time where somebody kind of got just said some hurtful things to your daughter, and it was, you know, it was a leader, and it wasn't anything about the person. It was in a serving role. Like there was something done that person didn't think should have been done, or something like
Right.
that. I mean,
Okay.
and it was,
Yeah.
you know, it was kind of a big deal. But you handled that with a lot of grace,
Right.
and a lot of like I stood back and I was like, wow. Like as a parent, I was like, bro, I want to react that way,
Well,
you
that's
know,
cool.
because you know when the way I wanted to react was double leg drop kick, double E. You know what I mean? Like, you know. But I watched it happen, and I was like, bro, there was a lot of grace in
Well,
that.
so R.C. Sproul says, whenever I feel like unfairly judged, or I got to remember I'm unfairly loved.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
And
Ooh, I like
Tony's
that.
got him today,
Yeah.
baby. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Hit him with the
Yeah.
quips.
Yeah, and it's true.
Yeah,
It's
it really is.
It's true, man. His mercy's good enough for me, man.
Yeah.
I could see those things. I could see people's that they're still growing in their faith, man. Why can't I still support them even when they mess up? I'd hope somebody would do that for me.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
So-
Well, and you know, we love you guys. You know, we do.
appreciate it.
I think the world of you. I remember the first day that you and Laura walked in, sat down at my small group meeting, and I knew right then like these were some special people. But
Appreciate it.
as far as you know, Adam is one of our leaders in the church. He does a fantastic job with young adults. He's grown that ministry to exploding. I'm not trying to like pump you up, but
Appreciate
it is
all
it's an
God.
awesome ministry. I mean, like it's been very effective. We've had conversations about that. Like people's lives are being changed. We're watching young people
So cool.
just like really, really run after Jesus, which is amazing. But when you know, is that leadership that you have and the ability, or is it reciprocated through the leadership that you fall under?
1000%. And I try to embody the people that I look up to and watch how they lead to then take that and apply it. Some of the things that I look at too, and I think are very important is from a discipleship standpoint, first off, is like, how do you work with, you know, people that are pursuing a relationship with Jesus, also people that have never heard of Jesus and are curious. So it's like obviously sharing the gospel from that standpoint. But I have to make sure that I'm constantly being poured into as well, because I can't pour into other people if I'm also not continuously being poured into. And I'll just be honest with you guys too, because there was a period of time where I thought I had to know everything to be able to share everything. And the verse, it's Proverbs chapter 20, verse 24. It talks about that we don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
We can lean in on God to guide us
Right.
through our life. And so like that's actually been a verse that's been coming up for me the last couple of weeks. There's multiple conversations. I love how God just drops verses in there and he's like
Oh, yeah,
application
sure,
to your
yeah.
life. But no, it's been the coolest thing. So like when I first started Fresh Life, right, I was an attendee that, I felt the Holy Spirit there. I started pursuing a relationship with Jesus. I was saved in the church. And for me, it's been an interesting kind of path, I would say, because I wanted community. I was praying for community, and what I heard God say to me was like, if you want community, go build it. And so from last year, I was the only young adult in the young adults group. To now we have 30 plus young adults in our group, which is absolutely amazing.
You say last year. That's not really fair because it's just been a few months ago.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, really,
like
yeah.
it hasn't been a full year.
I say last year, but yeah, I guess it was
It's fall.
November.
Like fall,
yeah,
yeah.
November, end of last year. But the coolest thing is like, it's all God. Like I can't make 30 plus young adults come to our group and join into the group. But the thing is like, I wanted a forum. God told me if you want that, go build it. And so all I've done is like create a space for people to feel welcome. Then I feel like one of the things that, and from a leadership standpoint, that I try to key on that I do well is I'm a connector. I connect people.
For sure.
And so yeah, just really kind of keyed in on like, hey, where's the gap missing in the church that I want to be a part of? And it was like the young adults. So after multiple conversations with leaders, I'm like, hey, what are some ways that I can help drive this? We started out with just doing like events. I'm like, hey, like we're all meeting up at this park at this time. We're gonna play some pickleball, and people show up. And then it starts with a small group. Hey, like who else can we invite to this group and make everybody feel welcome, make everybody feel heard. But at the same point, just trying to be an example to others. But it's all attributes that I've taken from people that I look up to answer your original question. So it's just been the neatest thing to be a part of. And I thank God every day for it, because those are some of the closest people to me now. And to your point, like people are getting saved in Tallahassee, and it's the coolest thing to see the transformation that people have had. And I'm so thankful for it that I get to be a part of it.
Nothing like it.
Yeah.
Nothing like seeing that.
When we're talking about that leadership reciprocated to you, back to you. I've watched Why Are We Different? And I speak of Fresh Life, just because that's my leadership chain, and these people are the people I love. These are my best friends, but these are also people that I have the privilege of doing ministry with. But like, what makes it effective is broken people knowing you're broken and needing Jesus.
Yeah.
Like we talk about how to be a great leader. Like you got to know that it's not you. Like you got to know that you are broken, and this is everybody.
Yeah.
Right. Like your faults might be different than mine, but they're still faults nonetheless.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And,
Preach.
and yeah. So, it's understanding that I want Jesus and I want to reflect him.
Yeah.
Amen.
And in that, I want you to know him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's the effective leadership to me. And it was passed down to me. Pastor's one of my best friends. I've said on the podcast many times, like I didn't always serve Jesus. And we came from a small place, like where everybody knew everybody. And at that time I wasn't in the church and stuff like that. And we'd been doing ministry a couple of years, and God just told me to be faithful.
Yeah.
And man, I was just, Lord, I want people to see you. When they see me, I want them to see you. That's all I want them to see.
Yeah.
Never, you don't even have to remember my name. Just let them know you.
Yeah.
And we were talking about something, and just a lot of times, when you just have an up and down pass, like you kind of, even the best of us, we hang our heads sometimes, like, man, dang. You know what I'm saying? Like that was bad. I'll stop.
How many
dropping the
times
phone.
you gonna
I'll
drop
stop
your
dropping
phone,
it after a while.
Trent?
Sorry. But he looked at me, and it was him and it was Jonathan and Tatum. We were in his office, and he just told me, he's like, bro, I love you. And he said, I'm going to tell you. He's like, for what anybody has ever said, all I can tell them is they don't know the same person that you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, because I know him.
Yeah.
Like, I know his heart. I know his faithfulness. I see Jesus in him. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I'm not sure who you're talking about. Like, that's an effective leader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. And I tell him all the time, you're easy to follow.
Yeah.
Right.
You're easy to follow.
So true.
And I think as a leader, that's something that we need to be.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a general
Mhm.
all the time, you know,
Yeah.
but be easy to follow.
Right.
Like allow Jesus to pour out of you
Yeah.
to the point where people want it so bad.
Yeah.
But how that happens
Mhm.
is from your pursuit.
That's
It all
Right.
starts with your pursuit, you know.
Yeah. Which, Tony, I'd be curious to hear from you too on like kind of some key attributes or things that you try to apply that you've seen other leaders kind of embody, or kind of things that you've tried to resemble from that standpoint. If there's anything comes to mind.
There's a couple. So patience is a big one.
Yeah.
Patience. You have to be patient with people. Also, you have to be fast to forgive and and slow to speak.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because what you say has a lot of weight on people.
Yeah.
You don't know who you can scare off just by what your actions. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so you have to be mindful of those things. So if you're patient, you're kind, and and you live by that, like those are really good attributes. And the other thing is, I had one more. I promise you, it was love, just love,
Yeah.
love, patience, and kindness. Man, that's
Big ones.
that's the big ones, man.
Yeah. Have you, this is either one of you, in the sense of like obviously being a leader, right? I'm sure that there's going to be people that disagree with you at times, or maybe you had to handle like a really tough scenario from being in a leadership type role. Is there like anything that comes to mind that was maybe like a challenge or something that you had like a learning opportunity from, or something that you overcame?
I can take it.
Okay,
Yeah.
take that one.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of times that we have to check ourselves on, are we wanting to speak truth, or are we wanting to hear ourselves speak?
Mm.
You know, sometimes we try to defend a position and die on a hill. That is it edifying? Is it building? Now, I'm not talking like theology and stuff like that. Like there's certain things that you just won't bend on. You know,
Yeah.
and the gospel is one of them. We're
Yeah.
Bible believing Christians.
Right.
Yep.
You know, but sometimes you just got to pick your battles. Like sometimes, man, there's some people that are just stubborn. You know what I mean? Like, and they might think the same thing of me. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
sure.
There's just some people.
I
that
think
are-
that of you. No, I'm just joking.
Thanks. I'm not surprised.
No, I'm still joking.
But you know, just that are just dead set in their ways, like that. You need pews, not chairs.
yeah.
You know what I mean? There should be lights on in the
Right.
church during worship.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be darkness. We don't serve Jesus in the dark. What? You know what I'm saying? Like,
We've heard our fair share of feedback for the
yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's those things. Like, pick your battles.
Yeah.
Like let's, as a leader, you don't always have to hear yourself speak, and you don't have to always hear yourself be right.
Mhm.
Like, sometimes you just got to be like, you know, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for letting me know that. I appreciate it. You know, we'll take that into consideration.
Yeah. Kind of like slow to speak on that, which I think
Yeah, yeah.
Tony, you were also talking
Yeah.
on.
And loving people, man, because
Yeah.
I mean, it does. It shows a lot of love, you know, to just not Judy chop on,
Man.
you know, because that can happen more
I can
often
be
than not.
a little vulnerable with you. When I was having a difficult time with some people in ministry, because you get hit with all kinds of stuff,
Oh, Lord.
and
Ministry's messy.
it is, man. And I remember just talking to somebody, you know, that I trust and love. I'm like, do I always have to be the bigger person? like, do I feel like I'm getting trampled on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was
Like,
like,
we're about to take a break.
yeah,
you know?
I'm like, I mean, can I slide one thing out? Like, I mean, just, but man, it's a tough thing, man. And but you always have to put the other person first. But like you say, you can't cheap out on biblical standards and those types of things. That's not what we're talking about. It's just that, man, some people are just difficult to deal with.
There's
And
a lot of those.
yeah, it's a lot of them. And I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean, I was mostly, you know, I was a youth pastor, college pastor, and they were no problem. I had no problem with the kids, no problem with the college. All of a sudden, I had to deal with volunteers, adults. I'm just like, man, I don't know. That was a learning experience for me. I had no idea. They were the
Then
ones
you
that
had
gave me the problem.
adults acting like college kids.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm
I
just
thought
like-
you were supposed to grow up.
Yeah. I thought I was, discipling the other ones.
Yeah,
But no, man. Like it's a full picture view, man.
It
and,
really is.
So it's like, man. But yeah.
Yeah, man, it is. But I just think being an effective leader is, man, just really admitting when you're wrong.
Yep.
Not always having to hear yourself speak.
No.
Being a leader is not who's the loudest. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Being a leader is, where's your heart at? Fruit, like you were talking about earlier. Jesus says it very clearly that we'll be known by the fruit we produce.
Yeah.
And that's where it's at. You know what I mean? If you're being the loudest, you all know you're a bunch of dudes. Just that the loudest person is not the person you want to be around.
Dudes
Right.
like to be
Yeah.
loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? It's just like you're like, I don't even know that dude, but
Yeah.
whew, but yet I see there's certain people that I see,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I don't know that guy, but man,
Yeah.
like, there's something about him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And or them. I mean, and then there's women same way. Like there's there's pastor, like our care pastor and stuff like that. Man,
Oh yeah.
I love watching her interact with people because she's full of wisdom and she's full of grace,
Mm.
and she loves the Lord.
Yeah.
And her and her husband. I just love them.
Yeah.
And so that's not exclusive to men. I just
Yeah.
I tend to hang out with men
Yeah.
more than I do.
Well, I mean, great point, because we do have a lot of different female leaders in the church, and it's not something that's based off male or female, but like it's just the role that you could step into. Because I think about it too, we have like women's small groups, we've got a bunch of different avenues for people to lead, and it's like you don't have to be necessarily like qualified or in a title type position like we originally said, but it's more of like the fruit that we bear, the opportunity to lead from where you're at. And I think I almost look at it from like when you go into a company, right? They're like, oh, if you want that job, you got to dress and act like the way that job embodies, so that you can already prepare yourself for that next role. So I think about that too from like a leadership standpoint. Like I'm not in a leadership title per se, but like if I want to embody it, to lead a young adults group, whatever the case may be, I'm going to start trying to act that way, or to learn to be in that aspect, so that one day maybe I can fill that role as like an official title per se. But I thought that was kind of like a cool note that you were talking about, is really just like obviously keying in on loving others, slow to speak, and those are attributes that I look at that I want to apply to make sure I'm kind of following by.
Right.
But keying back to what you were originally saying is like nobody's perfect. The only person that was perfect to walk this earth was Jesus. So I did have a question, and I want to kind of flip the script, right? So obviously we're talking about leadership, but let's say for either somebody listening, and this is not a specific example or there's nothing going on, but I just want to key in on if you disagree with a leader, what would you say is a way to approach that?
I mean, you can take it.
Oh, I mean, honestly, it's just have an open dialogue with the person. You don't go behind his back and start discussing it with everybody else. You know what I mean? You go to the source, and it could be that you just don't quite understand what he's speaking of. He could be wrong, but you deal with it the way the Bible has you deal with it. Is you go speak with them, and if needed, you involve elders or men of the church to go in with it as well. So,
But I'm gonna jump on that too. 99. So the enemy wants to cause division.
Oh,
We've talked
absolutely.
about this a lot.
Yep.
That's he wants to cause division in the church, and 99% of the time, it's a miscommunication
absolutely.
that people
Yeah.
get their feelings hurt. And so, I would encourage you, if you're listening, if you've been hurt by your leaders, if there's something that they've said that you have taken as a personal offense, just like Tony said, go to them privately and say, hey man, like that really bothered me, because I guarantee you 99% of the time they're going to tell you, well, that was not what I meant at all.
Right.
And if it is what they meant, that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Just learn
and
more.
so you could,
Yeah.
it's deuces,
Yeah.
I'll sorry. Sorry about that. But anyway, but then to find somewhere else to go. But if a leader, you just go to them and talk to them, man.
Yeah.
I've had situations like that. I'm like, bro, like, look, man, this really bothered me,
Mhm.
and they're just appalled most of the time. Like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, I had no idea,
Yeah.
And then the enemy's his wall falls down.
That's
what I
right,
mean?
yeah.
He's exposed. It's like
Yeah.
crap.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
You bring it to light,
100%.
Yes, for sure.
100%. Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in to Righteous Revolution podcast. We really appreciate you taking time to listen to us. If there's any suggestions, like we took the topic today from the suggestions, please drop us a comment. Let us know something you'd like to hear about, something you'd like to talk about. It's just dudes trying to give wisdom biblically, and as we pursue our journey with Jesus. That's what this is.
That's
and
it.
So if you got any feedback, definitely hit us up. Until next time, again, this is Righteous Revolution. I'm Trent.
I'm Adam.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, y'all.